important is it for you to own gold and silver right now? What does it mean to me personally? There's an economy that's about to crash beyond what words can explain. In 5 words, I'm going to educate you on gold and silver. Are you ready? You need to own some. Simple.
I don't see how they can't go forward with an election in which some states are operational and others are not. I do think that if there is interference, it could, sorry to say this, but it could come from either side or both sides. In other words, the white hats are acting so much like the black hats at this time that it's hard to tell the two apart. And, that's not, a criticism. It's just maybe how it has to be in war when you're getting sort of closer to the heightened part of the war. Maybe looking at World War II and seeing how the Allies were acting coming into Germany and all of that. So we're really at this incredible juncture. And I think that if you don't understand the white hat sort of modus operandi, then you're not going to understand what's happening. And I talk to people, very well-informed people who don't even know the white hats exist, who don't know about 107. And so, or you, no offense. And you know what I'm saying? In other words, they simply don't know. They don't have any clue. And in fact, and I'm talking well-informed people. I'm not talking, newbies or people that are part of the conventional reality perception. But I have people that are supposedly well-informed that just deny to my face, even though I tell them I know them. I know several members of the White Hats. I know, I've been following them and reporting on them, by the way, for years, even going back to 2010, in which Q was not even on the boards at that point, because I, as you may or may not know, interviewed one of the top White Hats at the time called Paladin, who was working on the QFS at the time. So I have more, I guess you might say, background on this subject than most anyone I talk to anyway, who's outside the organization. And I think this is purposeful. They don't want us to know the background and the various things, but I think it's important that the people do know. So we're kind of at loggerheads between the two ideas. Just how open are they with the public? So along those lines, up to now, Mel, it has actually been the White Hats saying, and especially Juan, who is their chief spokesperson, that there would be a Cuban Missile Crisis type event, is how he put it. He hasn't been using that wording lately, okay? But he said it would happen. It has not happened, in my view. And we're actually getting, we're moving up on the election. I can't believe this is like past the middle of September. Literally none of these things that are all supposed to come down the pike have happened, which means they're all going to slam through in October, right before the election. So how this plays out, I don't know. One has to do with Trump being reinstated, and this is in the public eye, as the CIC, the commander-in-chief, who is, by the way, also still the president, but that's another matter, of the Republic, and the whole devolution idea and the fact that the executive was allowed over to Biden and the Biden show, which was an invasion. There's so many moving pieces to this story. So when you say there will or won't be an election, or that it'll be delayed, or that states will be interfered with, there's those aspects. There's also the problem that the White Hats did track. You've heard Jan Halper Hayes say that we have it all. You've heard Robert David Steele say very early on, right after the election, they have it all. And what they were saying was that the NSA, who Admiral Rogers came over and revealed to Trump he was being spied on, basically bringing the organization, because he was the head, over into the sort of, I don't know what you want to call it, but to back the White Hats. And that was a very conscious move on their part. So they were actually, I think, in the background orchestrating the blockchain to track the vote in 2020. Well, they have it all means they have all the votes, they have evidence of the vote, and they never wanted to trot that out. There was some effort in the beginning with Sidney Powell and a few others in the courts, and the courts said we didn't have standing. I love that. This is supposed to be America, but we don't have standing in our own election. So who has standing? I mean, what kind of illogical logic is this, that the courts can say that an American who votes in the election, or, of any kind, I don't care if it's Sidney Powell or me or, whoever, that we don't have standing in our own election. So nobody is attacking that on a legal stance, from a legal standpoint. That should have been brought to court. That should have been looked at by the Supreme Court. That isn't. That's actually sounds to me like a new world order ruling. And so that gets into the infiltration in our government, and maybe, just saying, in the background of the White Hats, from time to time, they have had actual interference, through orchestration, and that gets into, I know I'm going through a whole lot of things here, but
no, keep going. You're on fire. Keep going, please.
Through the Lahaina attacks, when I did a lot of investigation, I really get a lot. Not only do I get back channel witnesses who I've had, sometimes I know them for now, because after 20 years of doing this work, I know them for 10, 20 years, right? And they're reporting to me and have been reporting to me, and they have been validated through their information all through these years being correct. Well, they give me pieces of information no matter what happens. And what I found with Lahaina is there was sabotage within the White Hats, within NORAD, no less, and possibly even a general actually in charge of the operation to prevent the attack on Lahaina, which was not prevented, obviously. It was an attack on the Space Force, which is underground in Lahaina area, and the rest of Maui and all of those islands actually is a huge military industrial kind of complex, if you will, underground and so on. So, and I've been there. I wasn't on Maui, but I was in Kauai, and the military presence of America is everywhere. I have to say, I'm not happy because things that I've uncovered, the White Hats would not own up to. They don't want to talk about it. This is their whole secrecy. I can understand when it's a military secret, but when you get an attack like on our country, see, that's an attack on the shores of America when they attacked Maui, and Lahaina. And you can see the devastation there. You're aware of it. The audience is aware of it. So what can you say when we're attacked, literally bombed with EMPs or what, and so on, and yet our country, our military stands down, Every other day you get a threat from Russia. They're talking about how that's going to go, ballistic. But what happened when we were attacked with Lahaina? We did not retaliate, and we probably know the perpetrators. And I know I'm going off into ET land, but
that's okay.
I happen to know that underground in Maui and in the Hawaiian Islands is a major gray ET base, So when you tell me that about the states being interfered with, I say by which side, because I would say both. Because they're not going to stand down. They are trying to fight the good fight, the White Hats is who I mean. But at the same time, they're playing games. And these games are enough to make your head spin, to also piss you off if you're a loyal American, because you just have to say, why are they standing down when they should be going overt? So if anything, I'm sitting here waiting for them to go overt. I'm waiting for them to come and spill the beans, to actually lay it on the line for the American people. And I am concerned, I am extremely concerned that they have kind of fallen in love with their secret society way of behaving, such that we've got two secret societies trying to run our world instead of just one, the bad guys. Now that's not acceptable. As President Kennedy said, that a lack of press and a lack of transparency is absolutely abhorrent to a free people. So this is what we're talking about.
Well,
I rest my case.
There are so many moving parts, Kerry, that it can make you effing dizzy, okay?
Yes.
And, you know, you have to discard a lot of the moving parts because they're being fed to us by a bunch of people who are completely don't have any. Because, look, when you get into this patriot movement, there are a level amount of people in this patriot movement, not a majority, but there's enough here that you would say, okay, these guys are definitely gone off the deep end. So you have to sort of go through the minutiae and figure out what is real, what is potentiality, where the dots connect, and try to make sense of it all. And this is where she comes in. Project Camelot's been around since Moby Dick was a minnow, okay? She's been around for a long, long time. If you haven't watched her shows, you need to go watch her. Project Camelot, the best of the best, you know, stuff. You really want to go down the rabbit hole, you need a pressurized suit because I'm telling you, your body parts are going to malfunction. The rabbit holes go very, very deep here. And a lot of the stuff she says make a lot of sense. I'm on board. They know about all of the debacle with the election. We're going to keep the words down to a minimum. You guys know exactly where. We're not allowed to say that word that starts with an F, although there's a lot of words that start with an F, okay? And we have to get, I believe, to that 80-20% rule because we're trying to avoid one thing. It's called a civil war. Would you agree with that?
Actually, not anymore. And I'll tell you why. I just wrote an article. It's entitled No Way Out. And I'm going to follow it up with a video, obviously. But it's on my website. It's also on my Substack for those of you that do that. So I'm at projectcamelotportal.com. And across the top are all my social media links. One of those links is Substack. And so anyway, you can find the article also on the front page of my website right now. The trouble is that we have basically a situation in which the president, which is, and this is where it gets into sort of a rock and a hard place, right? So we know that the White Hats, and we know Trump, he handed out the letters when he flew around the world to all the world leaders, which you can imagine. We saw Hillary on camera opening hers and making a face, basically being told that their pedophilia, their Satanism, their killing and maiming children, this whole sort of game that's being played as well with adrenochrome around the world. So they are threatened in a blackmail kind of a way, I'm sure, by Trump and the White Hats, basically saying, if you don't stand down, we're going to out you. Now, unfortunately, they haven't kept their side of the bargain up yet. All right. So I know that Hillary and I know I'm probably going off of YouTube here,
you're
but
good.
Hillary and crew are part of that satanic cult. All right. And arguably, actually, I know I saw a transcript that most people never saw, it seems. I don't know why I saw it, but it's gone from the internet now. What it was an interview, actually taking a testimony from a witness who is I guess a fairly high level, maybe even a military witness who was documenting the pedophilia of Biden, the real Biden, going back before 2020, even 2020 election, where his wife was his handler, delivering children to him on the trail of being a VP. So this is so insane that, I mean, in other words, the real truth, even the White Hats aren't telling you, is so insane and so over the top that it's hard to believe. I understand. But if you go down those rabbit holes, you're going to find out it's true.
Is that why it's so easy to hide?
Sorry?
Is that why it's so easy to hide? Because the truth is so fantastical that even if you showed concrete evidence to the average normie out there, they won't believe it. Even if you show irrevocable,
that's right,
irrefutable evidence that this is what this is.
So, okay, so when Trump is trying to, when Trump is trying to basically, along with the White Hats, threaten Hillary, for example, she's not going to stand down. Why? Because how are they going to do this release of information. You know, they were supposed to take in control of the electronic broadcasting system, right? And do a whole, they were saying 10 days of darkness, remember all that? And yet it's not happened. We've waited 4 years, zilch, okay? So now we're on the verge of another election. It's sure to be stolen. If it gets stolen, they have to steal it back. Unbeknownst to most people, I had witnesses, techie witnesses, that documented the fact that we actually had to steal back the election in 2016 in order for Trump to win, because Hillary had already stolen it. So behind the scenes, on a technical level, they were surprised. A man that I know who I interviewed died over this story, and he was a military part of the Navy. The Navy, look, our people are not stupid, all right? So if somebody's stealing something, what do they have to do? They have to, mano a mano, they have to steal it back. So that's what they did.